And we are live. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Gonna hang out for a minute, get some people in here. I titled this live stream, what did I title it? Directee disobeys directives and receives warrants. I don't answer questions. I'll probably change that later to somehow allude to the fact that there's going to be a legal interpretation of what happened here. Opinion, legal opinion. What's up, Twyla? Ruth? If you're just coming in, hit the like button. I posted a link to my guest's channel in the description of this video. So if you feel so inclined, please give her a subscribe. But I'm going to be live with Katherine Henry, who's a constitutional lawyer. But I will let her introduce herself and proclaim her accolades. Go ahead.
Well, hello, and thanks for having me on. Hello to all of you who are joining the chat. That's more of what I used to have before I got shadow banned on YouTube. A lot more lively chat. Yeah, I'm constitutional attorney Katherine Henry. I'm licensed in the U.S. Supreme Court, state of Michigan, 2 federal courts in Michigan, the Saginaw Chippewa Tribal Court, which is also in Michigan. I think that's it. About 5 jurisdictions at this point. I've always been fighting for the underdog, and I started practicing law in Minnesota many, many years ago. But 15 years ago, when I was in Michigan, I opened up my own law firm. And then in March of 2020, when the governor announced she was shutting down the state of Michigan for 2 weeks to slow the curve, I said, screw that. That's not what this is. And I knew I was going to have to make a decision to start fighting the big fight, the real fight, full time from that point forward. So kind of led me to where I'm at. And most recently was from the Grand Rapids area, where I see you have at least one person, at least a few people commenting from that area. So they might know who I am, but I guess my claim to fame in 2020, among other things, the thing I guess I was most proud of was arguing against Governor Whitmer's executive order shutting down the state, arguing against those orders in the Michigan Supreme Court. And I was the only attorney of the 6 that argued that day that they were unconstitutional from the very beginning. So that's me.
Hell yeah. Well, definitely sounds, just off of what you said, like you know what you're talking about. And then in my personal experience, I started off, so I want to let my subscribers know that I started off kind of trolling you in a live stream, right? And, yeah. And you bit back hard, and I liked that. But then I actually started watching your content, and I was like surprised, like, okay, holy shit, she actually knows what she's talking about. This is not some, I'm a lawyer and you're a plebe, you don't know, you actually know what you're talking about. And it's easy to discern that just listening to you when you talk about, you know, basic things to complicated things. And I've spent some time watching your live streams. I lurk in the shadows and listen. I'm there. I'm sure you have other people that do that, but I'll admit to it.
Yeah. There's somebody that on your chat right now that says they looked me up today and watched some of my videos. So
hell yeah. I mean, look, you guys, everybody sends me emails and asks for help and advice and stuff. And I'm not a lawyer. So that's why I don't respond to your emails. And I want to like introduce you to an actual lawyer that, you know, is where you can get that actual information from somebody that's licensed to give it to you, or at least to give you their opinion on it on their channel. So if you have questions or you're not sure about something, like the information's probably already on our channel. You should go there and learn. Like that's how I learn, as I follow these lawyers. I look stuff up, and you can't trust Google. You know what I'm saying? So do your own research, and then when you hear a lawyer confirm what, that's how you actually learn. Don't ask me. I'm not a lawyer. I'm an idiot.
Somebody was concerned about what they thought I was smoking. I'm drinking root beer. So that's what you see me doing every now and then, is taking a sip of my root beer. I know it's so gangsta, but that is what I do. So
I'm smoking a vape, you guys. But yeah, I think periodically I want to have Catherine up on the channel and just, review some content that she finds she wants to put out. I'm trying to help promote her channel and get her some growth and some numbers and some viewership. I mean, everybody's curious about their rights, and I've got 274,000 subscribers. Like, why wouldn't you subscribe to an actual lawyer's channel? Unless unless you're just seeking entertainment, then of course. But if you actually want to learn some shit, subscribe to a lawyer. You know what I'm saying?
And not just any lawyer, because let's be honest, as a lawyer licensed in multiple jurisdictions, I can tell you that most lawyers don't know the Constitution or the law from a hole in the ground. So I'm a lawyer that actually does know the Constitution and does know about laws, and I'll tell you when I don't. And if people ask me questions and I just don't know the answer, I'm not going to make shit up just to have something cool to say. I'll tell you that's not my area of expertise. But what I also like to do is educate people on what it is I do know. So I've done a lot of different ways to try to educate people. We have a newsletter we send out every week. I have a website, restorefreedomkh.com, all kinds of resources. Grab any pleadings you see, motions, briefs, appeals, all kinds of stuff. If you need it for your own case, civil, criminal, you name it, grab whatever you can on there, copy and paste. That's why I put it on there. Everything I do is for free. But 2 times a month, I go live and I do a call-in show and I answer questions. So is it going to really work for you to, reach out and call and text me and try to get individual advice? No, because I don't get paid to do that. And I'm still doing all the technical stuff, behind the scenes and dealing with all that stuff, paying out of pocket to do all this stuff. And I homeschool and, I run 50 different directions in any given day. But what I try to do is focus my time on how to help the most people with the most situations in the best way that I can. So, of course, if you are, super rich and you just want to donate a bunch of money to my cause, and I could start hiring paralegals and assistants and all kinds of things, and I could really start rocking it out in court and helping people all over the place. But right now, I got to do with, what I can with what I got. So.
For sure. And we'll definitely get so if you type something into the chat right now, I'm going to make you a moderator. That way you can post any kind of like a donation link or anything that you want to post in the chat. If you guys feel inclined to donate to an actual lawyer that actually helps people, then that will be available. Yeah, just post something in the chat and so I can make you a mod. Then you can post whatever links you want.
Oh. Well, so it's probably going to reject me at first.
Yeah.
The link. Yeah. Okay. So I gotta.
There. Yeah. Well, while she's doing this, guys, I'm going to kind of explain what we're going to do. Okay, there we go. Add as moderator. Okay, bam. I think I did it. Yep. All right, so we're gonna go over two videos in particular, but some of my court videos that led to why I actually have bench warrants right now, not arrest warrants, bench warrants issued by a judge. So I've got 4. We're not going to touch on all of them because some of them are just cases that I got warrants because I stopped going back to court that were tied with these other ones that are the real reason why I have warrants, but. So anyway, 4 warrants, basically for like trespassing, disorderly conduct, swearing at a cop. One of them's for jogging around a cop, but we're going to go over what happened in court and get, the perspective from an actual attorney on if what they did in court was right or not. I don't think it was. I've been bitching about it for a long time, and we'll get some perspective on that. But if you haven't hit the thumbs up by now, definitely do that because you're going to help promote this video in the algorithm, and more people need to learn about this kind of thing and see it happening, especially to somebody with 250,000 subscribers. It doesn't matter how big your YouTube channel is. These people will walk right all over everybody. Lori. Okay. Lori, is she your, she's on your channel, right? As a mod, right?
Yes. Lori DeVries.
Yep. I'm going to make her a mod here too. All right. You're a mod here now. Just don't block anybody unless they're being racist or threatening and violent and stuff like that. We don't like that. Other than that, people can hate me all they want. Yeah, we're going to watch some videos here, folks. And subscribe to Katherine while you're at it. I'm going to play this now. And this is a court date. So I'm going to preface this real quick. This is a court date where a lawyer that was assigned to me under the Sixth Amendment, I filed a Sixth Amendment motion for an indigent lawyer, and I was granted it by the court. And then the lawyer looked up my YouTube channel, or the YouTube channel that I operate online, and saw that some privately run website that uses an AI algorithm to determine like your views were based off your views, and then what YouTube says that they pay per view, and then tries to determine what your channel's value is. And he took a screenshot of this and sent it to me and said, you know, you lied, you can't afford a lawyer, so I can't represent you under the Sixth Amendment, blah, blah, blah. And that was his whole basis for a motion to withdraw. And we get into court and he starts crying about not being able to answer his phone because I posted about him withdrawing from my case online. And it goes really weird. I got denied a lawyer. And as Katherine can correct me if I'm wrong, they can only deny you a lawyer if you do certain things like physically threaten your lawyer or physically attack your lawyer, ask them to consistently do fraudulent or illegal things. Or the court can deny you a lawyer if you're constantly firing your lawyer and trying to get another one and playing like, you know, lawyer revolver games. Or you don't participate in your case, like you don't communicate with your lawyer. I think there's a couple other like gray areas that they can, but pretty much that's right. You have to be a serious problem for the court to deny you a right to an attorney, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah, it's in the Sixth Amendment for a reason. Although judges don't like to read any of the Constitution. Yeah, it has to be pretty egregious. You have to be, you know, outright physically or otherwise abusing the attorney or the court process with how you're handling it. And those are all the examples that you mentioned are the only ones that I can think of. So, yeah.
And the reason that he brought up in court when he said that I posted his information, so I journalized what was happening with my lawyer after he filed the motion to withdraw. That's a big important point because he filed a motion to withdraw based on him accusing me of fraudulently claiming a Sixth Amendment right to an attorney, which is false. I mean, I can prove on paper that I don't receive any money. I don't pay taxes. I don't have a bank account. Like something I can prove and willing to go to court over. You know, I swore in court on it. But that was his basis. And then after he actually filed the motion is when I journalized what was happening. Like, okay, the court gave me a lawyer. This is the lawyer. I took a screenshot of his website where his phone number is on his publicly accessible website. And just posting what happened with me, I told nobody to call him. I told nobody to text him, nothing. But he said in court that he couldn't answer his phone for 4 days. And then the judge stopped him from continuing on it. Well, we'll get into that. But then that was his basis for denying me, is because I was abusing my lawyer by being a journalist. So, I mean, this could be some prior restraint if you want to look at it like that. A judge is using his authority to deny me a right to an attorney because I'm I'm publicizing what's happening with me. He's using his judicial authority to, stop or quell a story, a media story.
Right.
But yeah, let's just play this and let people listen to it. If you want to make a point on something that you hear, just tell me, pause it, and then make your point.
Okay.
Cool. On what grounds? What happened here? Oh, yeah.
But I'm not really inclined to give you another lawyer, Mr. Russ.
On what grounds?
On the grounds that this is yet another lawyer, because you keep.
What legal grounds?
But, Mr. Russ, you're entitled to counsel, but
right.
you keep
Sixth Amendment
issues with counsel to where they're forced to file motions.
That's not my problem.
Well, it is your problem.
It's not.
They're forced to file motions to withdraw, Mr. Ruff. I can't continue to appoint lawyers.
That's not my problem. The Sixth Amendment guarantees.
This is just like
the right
a
to
couple
counsel, but I
intro
don't know what's
cuts.
going on in
Mr.
court.
Ruff,
I don't know what's going
you
on.
are entitled to it, but you can burn that bridge.
How? Legally, tell me how I can
But I
burn
can
it.
tell you, if you become so difficult.
All right, here's the video. The audio is a little low. I recorded this on a hidden audio device.
We are on the record. There we go. We're on the record. State of Arizona versus Christopher Ruff. Case 2021-043799, 2021-063564, 2021-071040, 2021-048968. Mr. Crockett for the state. Mr. Shell was assigned to just in these matters is here for Mr. Ruff. Mr. Ruff is present in court. So I just open all four of these cases, gentlemen, and then I will address the issues.
We can't turn up the volume at all on that because I'm not hearing anything.
All four of these matters.
He's talking really low because he knows I'm recording. That's what he does. It gets louder. I mean, because he gets animated and I get animated, and you can hear the lawyer.
Mentions that there's a conflict of interest.
So he said, I imagine there's a conflict of interest.
All four of these matters are in conflict appeal phase. Adjudicated.
All four of the matters are in the appeal phase.
I know since I had all of Mr. Ruff's matters from inception, that there was a total of 6 cases. The court had initially assigned Matthew Warren to represent Mr. Ruff, filed a motion to withdraw.
All he's doing is vocalizing the history of the cases right now.
To reconcile differences with Mr. Ruff.
He said that the lawyer filed a motion to withdraw based on irreconcilable differences.
Sought counsel of his choosing. He then went and hired private counsel. I can't remember his last name.
So what he's saying right now is that he's going over the course of the case. So that I had started off representing myself, and that at some point I had chosen to hire counsel, which isn't true. Somebody had donated money and helped me attain an attorney, and similar situation with paid attorneys. They did 2 trials for me, and he's going to use this as an excuse to deny me another attorney. He's going to use my paid attorneys because they filed a motion to withdraw based on the same thing. Because after my trials, I made a comment on YouTube on in my comments or my community posts, and just stated my dissatisfaction with how they handled my case. I didn't name them specifically. I don't think I did. I mean, I might have, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. I just said that, my lawyers are a fucking joke. Basically, they showed up in a Tesla, and I'm having to remind them of case law, like while they're litigating. You know what I mean? And then they have to go and look it up and say, "Oh, Your Honor, he's right." It's just really annoying. And they filed a motion to withdraw because I made that post. And I let him withdraw from the case. So I started to take my own case after that, lost 2 other trials, went into the appeal phase, and then asked for this lawyer that's trying to withdraw right now. So they're going to use other lawyers withdrawing from my cases as an excuse to not give me a lawyer. You know, if we have differences, that's not something you can dock me for. And then they use excuses when I threaten to put in a bar complaint. Like that's another theme in a different court where they denied me my right to an attorney because I told the attorney that I'm going to put it in a complaint against you for not following the bar rules. You know, it's the direction of the case is on me unless I'm asking you to file something that's illegitimate legally or fraudulent. And I wasn't doing that, but this is their game that they play. So he's just going through the history of the case.
Before you play that, I guess let me share a couple things that came to mind because I just want to start off for those of you who are joining the chat new and or maybe don't know anything about me. Just because I'm a lawyer doesn't mean I'm like part of the good old boy network or that I think everybody who's got a bar licensure is cool shit or anything like that. In fact, most judges and most attorneys, unfortunately, don't know the law. They don't know the Constitution. They don't know their rules of ethics. They don't know, the rules of court. They don't know any of that stuff. Typically, in my experience, and I've been in, a few different states already experiencing this. So, and I don't know Arizona's laws. This is all Arizona, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just want to clarify, I'm not an Arizona attorney. I have read the Arizona Constitution once before, but I'm no expert in it. And I haven't read their court rules all the way through. I do have one of their appellate rules of procedure up on my screen right now for purposes of talking about things today, but I'm not an expert in that. So I'm coming at this just from my own experience and as someone who's not only gone through law school, but who's been an attorney in other jurisdictions. And what I could tell you is that in general, it's really shitty. And I could tell you that in my own case, where I was violently, illegally, and unconstitutionally arrested in 2020 on election day for being someone's attorney, mind you, that when I had my motion to dismiss, I was denied counsel. So this issue is very, very close to my heart. I was literally denied having an attorney in the courtroom with me at all. I was denied having any humans witness anything of what was going on. It was insane. But so I just want you to have that frame of mind when I say this, that I can start to hear some of things that kind of make sense from his perspective. So from the judge's perspective. And let me say what I mean by that. Mm-hmm. So if you have, you had the other law firm that was representing you and they were doing a shitty job, and so you made some sort of comment about it online, that by itself isn't, it doesn't seem like that would be reason to necessarily withdraw from that case. And depending on what was said and everything else like that, I'm not sure that by itself is really abusive. Does it really serve to drive a wedge in that attorney-client relationship? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, whether they're in the wrong or not, I guess I could see that would, create a wedge in that relationship, and they might find it personally hard then to zealously advocate for you, which is what you're owed. I've had to ask judges to get out of cases when I was a public defender. I've had to ask judges to get out of cases where I felt like I just can't for something on, like maybe a particular charge or something like that. I mean, they are innocent until proven guilty with all the elements of the offense, right, in a court of law. But in my mind, I knew that I couldn't be the one to zealously advocate for them as best as they needed to be, given what those particular allegations were relating to abusing children and whatnot. And so, so I can get where perhaps, again, I don't know all the specifics. I didn't hear the motions directly in the one we're talking about today or the one that had happened prior in your case. But I could see where it might be in your best interest that they basically recuse themselves, that they ask the judge to get off your case, because if they're finding it like taking it as a personal insult, even if they logically know, hey, this guy has every right to post what he wants on his YouTube channel or to say what he wants to friends and family or whatever. But if they know that it's just causing them, frustration to the point where they're not going to be as zealously advocating for you as they should be, then they actually have a duty to get off the case then, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Not an excuse for them. Who knows if that's even something that they thought of? Maybe that they're too stupid to have really had that occur to them. But so then from the judge's perspective, if you have this attorney who's saying, well, he posted my phone number. Now here's the part that I obviously find bullshit is if, the attorney is saying that and the judge is not making every possible opportunity to give you what I would do, right? Okay, so I'm assuming you didn't file a written response to the motion to withdraw?
No.
Okay, so what I would do, and I've actually had this before too. I actually just had standby counsel on my Allegan County case, and the other attorney had a lot of crazy shit happening in his law firm, and then was like MIA for most of the case, even as standby counsel. The only thing that they were doing for me was serving subpoenas for me because they had that, and I was literally in the process of moving from Michigan to Florida, and I didn't have a way to like literally print off subpoenas, getting them served, etc. So at any rate, at some point, we had 8 different trial dates for my case. That's some crazy shit that I never got to say. The judge kept moving my trial. Yeah. So I ended up filing, among other things, speedy trial denials. But before the 8th trial date, he had filed a motion to withdraw as standby counsel. And I don't even remember what it was, but he said something in there that was like alluding to the fact that I was being, I don't know, difficult or something. And whatever he said, I made sure to cover my ass and I filed a response. And I said, I am more than happy to let him off, as my standby counsel because he hasn't done anything. He's not reading the briefs. He hasn't even read my briefs, let alone writing the briefs. He's not putting together. He's not bringing the evidence together. He's not interviewing witnesses. He's not going through the statutes. I kind of laid it out. It was like, bam, 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 bam. But I wanted to clear the record as to, but whatever his little slight allegation or insinuation was about me, I let it be known. I cleared that up, whatever it was. I was like, yeah, that's a load of bullshit. And so then when we had the hearing, same thing. I just kind of cleared the air and made the truth be known. And then it was a very short hearing. It was like all of 5 minutes. But so I could see where in this case, where you didn't file a response, and then the judge asks, him to basically explain what's happening. And then it sounds like there was new information on top of his original concern, because then since that motion was filed, then you had, done that video. And so after the motion was filed, then he got, the phone calls, etc. And so I could see where the judge is mentally taking some leaps. It makes logical sense. But what he should have done, because his job is to make sure, above all else, that a criminal defendant has every right protected, every constitutionally protected right that's given to us by God, guaranteed by the Constitution. It's his job to make sure that those rights remain intact. So what he should have done is start with the attorney, ask him, about his motion, and then he should have gone to you and said, is there anything you would like to offer? Is there anything you'd like to add? And then even if you said, no, I don't really know what to say, he should have been asking you very thoughtful questions to see if the information was accurate, if it was true. He didn't do any of that. From the little bit that we saw, what I saw him do was take the attorney's word at, it's gold, right? And then immediately start saying, well, this is a pattern of behavior. And, you just, you can't keep doing this to attorneys, and you've broken that bridge, or burned that bridge, or whatever phrase he used there. And here's the thing, and I'm going to tell you this because I've personally represented clients where I knew they were innocent, but their demeanor lost them the case. And I've polled juries afterwards and asked, and for sure found that out. So what I noticed was your demeanor back, and some of the things you were saying didn't do you any justice. It didn't point to the facts of the situation. When you're saying things like, well, that's not my problem, or whatever, it more sounds like you're just going to give attitude no matter what he says and have disrespect for the process. And it can be very hard to differentiate. But to all of you out there, you all end up in court at one time or another for something, a divorce or, a traffic ticket or something. So keep this in mind. As stupid as the judge may be, as wrong as the judge may be, as horrible as the prosecutors or other attorneys may be, you have to keep your cool and you have to show a respect for the process, even if they are not doing it. And I know it's hard. I've been denied ADA accommodations myself. I've been denied an attorney. I've been denied any other humans in a courtroom with me. I could go on and on and on. I've been physically threatened with harm. No joke. By physically being in the courtroom. I mean, you could just name all kinds of crazy things that have happened to me personally. And I understand how it's like to just feel so frustrated and then get enraged because of all the bullshit and that they're peddling. And then you're legally right, but it doesn't come out that way. So anyway, I know I just kind of went on a tirade there. I'm not saying you were wrong at all. What I'm saying is I could see how because his fatal flaw there was not making it clear that he knew what your position was before he started going off on you, then he should have given you that opportunity to explain, like, no, I didn't do this. I did this, or,
it kind of did. I mean, it gets a little heated in a minute because, and that's funny. He didn't really give me a chance to speak. When I tried to talk, it got to the point where he was telling me, if you say another word, I'm going to hold you in contempt. I'm like, what? I don't have a right to, because I started asking him, like, under what legal basis are you denying me? Are you denying me another attorney? Like, I haven't threatened this dude. Nothing. I haven't done nothing. You told your subscribers to harass him. And then he brought up the court. He's like, and the court has experienced the same thing because I've posted shit that's happened at the court and people call the court. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? You guys are acting dumb online.
Well, and that's an important point too. Before you play that, I want people to listen to this because asking questions back to the court in that sense is deemed, it might not make sense, but it's deemed argumentative, not in the way that you're supposed to be advocating for yourself. So I actually, we have a case right now where we're fighting against the city who's trying to physically tear up our home, our property. It's ridiculous. And I had the judge in that case tell me that I couldn't raise any constitutional issues because she has to stay in her lane. And if I wanted to raise any constitutional concerns, at which I have plenty, then she said I needed to file an entirely separate civil lawsuit and that I had to just deal with this case as it was. And I'm like, what I wanted to stand up and say, and pardon me for, I'm going to use swear words, but I want to say, what the fuck is wrong with you, you moron? But I didn't. I had to reel it back. In fact, Liberty Warrior, I think is his new YouTube name. He was there, and Foshin letters of what I don't know, whatever his YouTube channel is, another 1A guy. He was there too. And anyway, so they saw, and I was doing my best to keep it reeled in, keep it professional, and then at times, I will ask questions like, oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor, but what about in this, this, and this? And then I'm always trying to, do things that way. And if it seems, though, that the judge is going to be stubborn, or if a judge is just going to be a moron and they're not getting it through their thick skull and you're starting to piss them off, then it's like, okay, well, I'll back off on that because I've laid the record for appeal. I've laid the record. I've brought up those issues. I've been respectful. And then if it didn't go my way, I've also let the judge know, listen, I know what I'm talking about. I'm confident about the law, but I hear what you're doing, and I guess I'll have to take it up, with the next level or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's always been my problem. Is I have a problem with playing their little games because, I mean, your average pro se litigant doesn't know how to behave like a lawyer, and that's been my whole point. Is I wanted to go into the court and be me. I can be, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, Your Honor, and not be an asshole to them in court. But at the same time, it's hard to do that when I know they're not playing by the rules. So it's very hard. That's my whole hang up is when I know you're not playing by the rules, then why do I need to call you Your Honor? I'm just going to call you Raymond. You know what I mean? That's your first fucking name. That's what I'm going to call you. I've done that to judges in court, and you call me. I said, bro, I literally can call you by your name, and there's nothing you can do about it. You are Raymond Schumacher. I'm going to call you Raymond Schumacher.
And the thing is, it's not to say that you're wrong, but here's the thing, that
It doesn't do me any good.
Exactly. It's never going to
know.
do your case any good, no matter what your case
is. But that's the problem. That's my hang up, is it shouldn't matter. That's not how the law works. My behavior doesn't dictate whether or not I did something illegal or not, or whether or not I should be found guilty. And that's exactly what's happening in every courtroom across the entire fucking country. That's my whole point with what I've been doing in court. Like, I can play the game. That's not a problem. I'm doing this by choice, because I need to point this out, because this is the problem in America. You think you have a First Amendment right to expression until you go into some publicly funded building by your taxes and try to express yourself. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Just that right there, using the word fuck in court. This dude threatened me a couple times. He's like, I'll hold you in contempt. I'm like, Your Honor, Cohen v. California, and as long as I'm not swearing at you and anybody in specific, I'm not disrespecting the court, and I'm using the word to emphasize my speech or inflict emotion upon my speech, I can say fuck. There's nothing you can do about it. And he didn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the biggest thing. So I don't want to beat the dead horse, but so many people end up losing. Hey, there he is. That's the guy I was talking about. Wait a second. He said, hey, Lori, Brandon, Liberty, and chat. Oh, okay, fine. Fuck you. Not like or anything. Don't say hi to me. Whatevs. Yeah. I'll just say hi to your wife the next time I see her, but I'll totally ignore you. But anyway, so it's a very important thing. Actually, somebody who might be in the chat might need to hear this too, that it's very important that when you hear the judge not following the law, or the prosecuting attorney not following the law, that you remain very cool and collected and calm, yet confident. Confident is fine, but just the most important thing you could do is maintain a cool confidence about what the rules are, about what the procedure is, about what the Constitution says. And, Your Honor, I respectfully object here because, the First Amendment says this, this, and this, or in this situation, the Fifth Amendment clearly guarantees me whatever. You know what I mean? The Sixth Amendment guarantees me assistance of counsel. So you can't deny me assistance of counsel, and, whatever you know what I mean? So it's super hard, but that is the number one thing where, let's see, to quote the words of someone who's in the chat today, about being their own worst enemy. Sometimes we can be our own worst enemies, and it backfires. Now, it doesn't mean they're legally right, but they are humans. So we got to outsmart them at their own game. And I'm not saying kiss their ass. I'm just saying keep your cool while fighting the good fight. You know what I mean? And you want to have a really good record on appeal. Like, so far from what we've heard, the transcript, I'd be like, ooh, yeah, this doesn't look the greatest for you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, my record on appeal is great. I mean, the judge introduced doubt himself when he was making his rulings. You know what I mean? So he's like, I'm not sure, but I'm going to find you guilty anyway. Literally said that as he's ruling. He's like, what the fuck? But let's just listen to this anyway. It gets interesting. This one's definitely interesting. Because I get irritated when he starts complaining about phone calls. The lawyer's name's Chad Shell, by the way, you guys. If you want to look him up, is CHADSHELL. Chad Shell. Go ahead and look him up. He's a cool guy. Nice guy.
However, before sentencing, Mr. Benoit also filed a motion to withdraw.
He talks really low because he knows I'm recording. During the trials, he put on this white noise speaker thing above me while.
That he himself selected for his own. I see Mr. Ruffin filed a notice of appeal in all the cases. He was representing himself during that appeal phase.
I know it's low, but can you guys hear it?
And I know that there were some issues regarding getting CD.
I can't, but I'm hard of hearing.
We wanted to make sure Mr. Ruff had plenty of time to those items, then within about a week or so, I'm
No.
going off of memory, not looking at the case files, I know that there was at least
And we're back.
Of course,
March
there's a-
Sadness. And the team is looking
Yeah.
down the barrel of a 4:55 meeting.
one of the cases, all the transcripts and the information was accurate. I know we had some problems with the other, no fault of Mr. Ruff or the state.
No fault of the
And
state.
Mr. Ruff had submitted a request for counsel to again be appointed counsel. Appointed Mr. Ruff. I know Mr. Shell for certain conflicts with defendants. A lot of times, Mr. Shell and Ruff said you want, but I don't feel inclined. You're entitled to counsel. I'm sure this person has counsel. And so just especially when you even go into the future, because you keep
With
burning
legal
out-
grounds.
But Mr. Ruff, that you're entitled to counsel, but
Right.
you keep
Sixth
having
Amendment.
issues with counsel to where they're forced to file motions.
That's not my problem.
Well, it is your problem.
It's not.
If they're forced to file motions to withdraw, Mr. Ruff. I can't continue to appoint lawyers. What was the problem with you and your private attorney that he had filed a motion to withdraw, Mr. Ruff?
I didn't hire that attorney.
What's that?
I did not hire that attorney. That was hired for me on my behalf.
Okay, so what was the problem that he had to file a motion to withdraw?
I mean, these lawyers don't like being posted online. At the end of the day, I'm press. I own a media company, and I post my interactions in court and with the police online. Everything that happens goes online. Everything. This is going online.
Then, Mr. Ruff, you are entitled to do whatever you think is appropriate.
So you can't hear that?
I hear him a little bit more right now, but I wasn't hearing it initially.
Yeah, he's just telling me like, why did your private attorney quit? And I told him for, the same reasons. At the end of the day, the attorneys don't like being journalized online. I told him I own a media company and I post my interactions in court online for everybody to know what's happening. And he's making it seem like that's harassment. Like they're trying to turn, being a citizen journalist into harassment is what they're doing.
Exactly.
It's fucking, it's mind blowing.
To ask for attorneys, and the attorneys are constantly filing motions.
You can't keep continuing to ask for attorneys and the attorneys are filing motions to withdraw is what he's saying.
You don't have to explain that this is a conflict because it's not my problem. The Sixth Amendment guarantees me right to counsel when I don't know what's going on in court.
Mr. Ruff,
I don't know what's going
you
on.
are entitled to it, but you can burn that bridge.
How?
You can burn that
Tell me
bridge.
how I can
Well, I
burn
can
the
tell
bridge.
you, if you become so difficult to where counsel can't work with you, then yes, sir, you are, then sir, you are afforded counsel, but if counsel continually files motions to withdraw because of your conduct or the ethical problems that you create for them.
You're not citing.
See how he's creating stuff out of thin air that nobody said. He said they keep filing motions to withdraw because you're creating ethical problems for them, and we can't keep appointing you an attorney. Like what?
And see, that's where I don't know. I'm guessing that he just started. The more you were questioning him, the more angry he was getting, and then he wasn't really. He's losing touch with reality on what he could have been saying, because there were things, like I said, where I could see where he was going. But when he's saying you're creating ethical problems for them, unless he's trying to get at what I was saying, that if they no longer feel like that they could zealously advocate for your best interests, then it's their job, it's their duty to get out of the case. But then they can't be bad mouthing you in the process.
No.
And the way they handled it was bullshit.
Yeah, and that's not also that's completely legitimate for an attorney to withdraw because they can't, like we do have a disagreement, and like I don't want to be friends with you, basically. You know what I mean? That to simplify it for my viewers, like I don't want to be friends with you anymore. Like we can't hang out, dude. I don't like you. There's nothing wrong with that. I totally agree with that. I don't want an attorney trying to work on my case that doesn't even like me or can't agree with, how I want to pursue my case. I totally agree with that. That's why I've never challenged their motions to withdraw. I've never challenged it. I've always just gone along with their motions because if you don't want to work on my case, I don't want you here, but that does not guarantee the judge a right or the legal ability to deny me another attorney. Just because I don't get along with one doesn't mean I'm not going to get along with the other. And I didn't fire them. They quit.
Right. Well, and to interject really quick, I don't know if this guy got booted or not, but somebody was saying I was lying about my arrest. Bring it, jackass. I mean, I don't know what you think I'm lying about, but I don't lie
Yeah.
about anything.
Yeah,
So
fuck yeah. Ooh.
I'll
Isn't
answer
it
any
on your
questions
channel?
all day long.
Isn't the video on your channel?
It is, and he said he went to my website and saw the first page. On the first page of my website, which is restorefreedomkh.com, is the video of my arrest. And he said he saw that and he saw other things that I stand for, and so I'm lying about my arrest. Well, you're an idiot. So if you think I'm lying, call me on it. What exactly am I lying about? Because there were dozens of witnesses, and I was live streaming, and many other people were live streaming at the exact same time. So tell me. Anyway.
Yeah, fuck them. That's my trolls for you. They'll come in here and they'll say dumb shit, but you know, there's almost 800 people watching, so the one suck a nut in here can go fuck himself.
Yeah, so I lost you the one sub. Hopefully you're good.
I don't care about my subscribe. I tell these people to unsubscribe all the time and they just won't listen to me. So whatever. Haven't I, you guys? I've told you all to unsubscribe and go fuck yourselves at one point. I don't like subscribers. I don't care about subscribers. I'm just trying to get information out. Yeah, she wants, if you don't want to be on my channel, just travel on over to Catherine's here and give her a subscription.
Yeah, I'm always trying to educate people and tell them all about the law and the Constitution, but I won't take your shit either.
Yeah, fuck yeah, that's the same. I'm the same way. I don't care. You know, people think that we're beholden to them because they subscribe to our channel or something, and you're totally fucking loopy if that's what you believe. I don't gotta cater to an idea, a belief, or you know what color you like or what kind of shit I'm posting on my channel. This is my shit. You know what I'm saying? I post what I want on my channel.
Yeah.
Somebody said I unsubscribe, but keep coming back. Hell yeah, that's what usually happens. Yeah, I want to listen to this lawyer cry real quick. This sounds really good. I'm going to try to skip to it and find it real quick.
Okay, well, you're in my courtroom now, and you're going to listen. Do you understand me? Because I will take you into custody today. I'm done with your antics, sir. I've had enough.
My antics is asking questions. Under what legal grounds are you denying me an attorney?
Mr. Shell, do you believe that
Here he goes.
relationship is to a point where you can't continue? Without a doubt. I'm done.
I'm done.
All right. Is there
Forever.
ethically, and do you believe that you can, Mr. Ruff is asking for reasons. Do you believe, and I'm, do you believe that you can set forth those reasons for the record, or is it something you believe that you need to have a conversation with another judge? Tell me, Mr. Shell, why you believe you can't continue representing Mr. Ruff.
Ultimately, because he doxed me.
Because he doxed me.
Last week, took my cell phone number on the internet and made a bunch of statements about me that weren't true. My
Hey, pause
phone
it right
blew
there.
up for days. I had to put it on airplane mode for 4.
Okay, so right there, again, just to clarify, if those of you who are joining us now, I believe what you said, Direct D, earlier was that you took a screenshot of a portion of his website where this phone number was. It wasn't like you looked in your phone book and you grabbed his personal cell phone number and you like added it to your video.
Nope.
You literally took a screenshot of his website that is available for the entire world to see and put that part of his website in your video. And you didn't ask people to call. You didn't tell them to call. You didn't say, hey, you should, do whatever. It's not doxing if you share a part of somebody's website that they have for the public to see. I mean,
yeah, that's what I was dealing with in court. And I mean, this alone is a bar violation in Arizona. He's not supposed, this is a violation of his client attorney privileges. The disagreement that we had is not something he's allowed to elaborate on in court like this. He's not allowed to do it. But he's doing it.
Yeah.
And he's lying to the tribunal. So that's another bar a fuck up for him right there. He's lying to a judge about he will in a minute. He's going to say he had them harass me. He posted my personal phone number. These are lies. As an attorney in court on the record right now, he's telling fabrications that he knows are false. I didn't post a personal phone number. If you put it on your website, I did not direct anybody to call you personally. You know what I mean? So he's perjuring himself. He's telling information that's not true, that he knows is not true.
Yeah, and sorry, I don't know if I'm freezing or if you're okay. One of us was freezing there for a second. But it's important that he needed to. It is a delicate balance because he has to be able to lay the record, which is what the judge was trying to do in that situation. So I think the judge was actually trying to do the right thing in having him lay a proper foundation, but what his response was inappropriate. And so his response, should have been like, he was, saying and doing things in a public manner that, impact whatever, even if you, by what you did, if it did cause people to blow up his phone for 4 days and then he's all ticked at you about it again, if he's just not able to separate that out and now he's all ticked, then he needs to say, well, something happened where his actions ultimately caused some big frustration on my part, and it created such a rift in our attorney-client relationship where I'm no longer able to adequately and zealously represent him. He could have worded it that way and still been truthful and not been a moron about it. But just again, just aside, because this person's a dipshit, there is no separation of church and state in the Constitution. If you show me exactly where those words are, great. You must have an altered copy, the morons version perhaps, but I've done whole videos on that. If you're so good at stalking me, you should stalk the videos where I've talked about that. As far as someone who thinks the election was rigged, what I've done is I've talked to people that were there at, say, the TCF Center in Detroit, and I have tons of friends who actually submitted affidavits from personal firsthand information, plus the actual laws that were broken. I was involved in a lot of things on the legal side from that aspect. So I don't know where you're getting at with that. Anti-vaxxer, it's your own decision. If you want to have some experimental gene therapy shoot ups every so often when CDC tells you to, go for it, man. But I don't personally like experimental gene therapies. That's just my thing. But again, you're really stretching when you say that those things have anything to do with why I'm supposedly lying about being arrested. Separation of church and state, being anti-vax, any of those things, the election has nothing to do with why I was arrested. Can you not watch a whole video? Do you not know how to open your eyes? Or are you just stupid and just want to share that stupidity with everyone around you? Okay, sorry. Can't help myself at times when I just don't have, especially this late in the day. If we'd done this stream 3 hours earlier, I would have been a little bit more patient and less on the giving a shit.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I go on rants on trolls all the time. We'll be watching something. I'll read somebody's chat, and I'm not a big person. I can't just ignore it. I'm petty. I'll bite. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, and I think back on how you introduced me, that actually that's how you and I started having conversations.
Yeah. Just like I got a response just like that. Yeah. I mean, I didn't say some fucking dumb shit, but
no, I don't even remember what it was that we were going back and forth on, but obviously it wasn't something that pissed me off so bad that I was like, screw you, I'm never going to talk to you again. But anyway, so this guy, I'm just trying to get my mind right. He's talking about when you blew up his phone, or the people blew up his phone for 4 days. He had to put it in airplane mode. Okay, I'm good.
All right. Let's see what else is crybaby. This is Chad Shell again, by the way, you guys.
4 straight days because his followers kept texting me, calling me, leaving me.
His followers kept texting me, calling me, leaving me
all
threatening
Facebook
messages.
Online, he posted about me.
Michelle, I know what you're going through because I've gone through that as well.
See, you hear that?
The other attorneys, I believe, has
Mr. Shell, I understand what you're going. I'm going to stop you right there. I understand what you're going through, and we've experienced that as well, and I believe the other attorneys have as well. This is where he just basically shuts them down and says, "Yep, I feel for you," and here we'll listen to it.
Well, That's enough for me.
That's enough for me, Mr. Ruff.
Brian, Mr. Shell, you're now on your own.
You're now on your
I'm
own.
going to give you 45 days.
I'm going to give you
get all your
45
briefs
days
in.
to get all your briefs in.
You should have all of the CDs and the DVDs.
You should have all the CDs and DVDs.
If you don't have it done within 45 days, you're going to abandon your appeal.
If you don't do it in 45 days, you're abandoning your
You can
appeal.
do with it what you want. You can post online what you want, but that's what's going to happen. And if you don't get it done, sir, then we'll deal with the issue. But you cannot continue to do this because these are people who are trying to help you. And unfortunately, Mr. Ruff, you burned that bridge. I'm not going to assign you another attorney. You are now representing yourself.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what a Sixth Amendment violation looks and sounds like right there. I did not abuse my attorney. I didn't threaten him. I didn't do anything that you should be denied an attorney for. I mean, I journalized my what was happening in court online. I only posted public information. I never directed anybody to harass anybody. All these accusations are getting thrown out without my ability to speak on them. Anytime I did speak in court, I got threatened with contempt of court. I mean, this is literally what railroading looks like right here. They know that if they give me an attorney, I'm going to be successful on my appeals. So this was a whole fucking game for them to get me out of the loop of an attorney unless I pay for one myself, which I frankly don't have fucking $20,000 to throw at an attorney. So, I don't know how many in the chat can say that they do, but that's a lot of money, especially when you're in an appeals process. That's a specialized kind of lawyer. It's not just a criminal defense lawyer. Now I have to find a lawyer that's, acclimated and understands the appeals process in Arizona and how to actually win them. And then you have to discern whether or not you're getting a deal maker lawyer or a litigator. You know what I'm saying? So there's it's a fucking complex system and they know it and they're just playing games with me. And this is exactly what it looks like right here. I did absolutely nothing wrong in the eyes of the law to be denied my right to an attorney. It's in the fucking Constitution. But here you have a municipal magistrate in Mesa, Arizona. That's Raymond Schumacher, by the way, denying me my right to an attorney. So what happened, ladies and gentlemen, is I did not submit my appeal because I asked for an attorney. I was unlawfully denied one. This right here is a lawsuit waiting to happen. What I did is we went to, we could actually just watch that video. We'll cue up the next video since we're almost at an hour already. Go ahead.
Someone asked, do I know about subject matter jurisdiction? Yeah, go ahead and search those words on my website. See how many hits you get. You're going to get plenty because that was one of the biggest things I argued in my case. In fact, I'm still arguing it in a current case that I have with the city of Ormond Beach, but the arrest case that I mentioned earlier, they didn't have subject matter jurisdiction from the beginning, and then they continued to erode it away by all of their egregious actions. So I'm good friends with subject matter jurisdiction. It's about one of the few things that you can raise on appeal without actually having raised it in your prior lower proceedings. And Direct D and I were talking about that the other day when we were talking about his case. So if you guys have anything that you need to challenge, any kind of case whatsoever, civil, criminal, whatever, please take a look at the videos I've done. I've done several videos on appeals and what the general process is, the different kinds of appeals, the whole 9 yards, because sometimes you have very short time frames within which that you get to file. And then otherwise, then you lose your rights to do that.
And filing motions to dismiss based on lack of subject matter jurisdiction in the beginning of your cases is extremely important, even if they don't grant them, because you're putting them on the record. So when you get to an appellate level court and people are a little bit smarter about what they're doing, they can see that you filed these things and the court should have granted it. And actually,
it's the judge's job. It is always the judge's job to make sure that they have subject matter jurisdiction before they go forward. So sua sponte or on their own, they should always be thinking like, wait a second, is this really the thing? Like, can you actually be arrested for criminal trespass when you're on property open to the general public during the hours in which that it's open to the general public? No, you can't be arrested for criminal trespass on property open to the general public, which is what I was violently arrested for. So at any rate, it's the judge's job, whether you raise those issues or not, but it's very important to know about, because even if you don't know until it's too late, you can raise those issues for the first time on appeal. But sometimes it takes 8 motions to dismiss and 4 levels of appeal before you finally get a judge to realize they didn't have subject matter jurisdiction.
Which is disgusting to me.
Yes.
They will drag people through the system based on either ignorance, pride, or greed, one or a combination of all of them. So yeah, let's check this out, see what happens here. I'm going to kind of skip through it so you can kind of get an idea. Like when we're done watching this, I've got the Arizona rules of criminal appellate procedure for the Supreme Court, Superior Court, the Supreme Court.
What the rule refers to as a recording device, and then there's a personal audio.
Yeah, and something else I want to tell the audience and you is he spent the first 15 minutes of the court hearing explaining to me how that I recorded my last hearing and that I'm no longer allowed to record, and asked everybody in the courtroom to turn off their recording devices and told me to. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Let's get the court date going. You know, I'm going to record regardless of what you tell me. And I did. Obviously, it's being recorded.
Someone was thrown out of my last court hearing for having a recording device.
Which is, it's mind-boggling that there's like, what do you have to hide? And
exactly.
It's their ignorance. They have to hide their ignorance. When people realize how stupid these people actually are, like who's going to go to court anymore? Who's going to pay their taxes to fund this kind of bullshit? It's like man. Anyway.
Anytime somebody wants to record a hearing pursuant to.
I checked this judge on this rule, by the way. That's why he's bringing it up.
Game. You're not ready.
I embarrassed him in court. What in the fuck is this?
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe.
Huh?
Why did that open?
I don't know. That's weird. I guess we're gonna jump to a Joe Rogan Experience video. I don't know what that was about. Hold on, let me fucking fix it. Yeah.
I'm laughing at some of these names of people you have commenting. I'm already delirious with everything that's gone on today, and then I see something, Butt Crack News Network. Okay.
I think that's a legit company too. All right, so this video is titled "The Definition of Domestic Terrorism."
Mike, my husband's watching this. Make sure that the kids can't read the comments. Make sure you have that on the TV right now, that the kids aren't reading the comments, because this is not appropriate.
Yeah, my audience isn't usually very PC, but that's okay because neither am I. All right, let's get back to this.
Outside the courtroom. It says in there, I'll reference those cases. There was case 2021 Superior Court. Once the appeal is perfected, the appeal is perfected, Mr. Ruff, once a memorandum is properly filed, then the clerk merely sends those. Let me go over those items. Those items are a notice of appeal, Mr. Ruff, which you had because you're the one who filed the notice of appeal, so you obviously had your own notice that you filed.
Okay, here he is right here. So he's going over Rule 7C, and he's saying, you know, the notice of appeal, and he's saying you should have already had those because you filed them. Like this is what I was telling you about, where he's like reasoning out of giving me the record on appeal. Like if you were an Arizona attorney and you filed notice of representation with the court and asked for the record on appeal because you're going to help me perfect my appeal, they would have to send you all this shit. The judge couldn't just tell you, hey, you're going to have to get that from your client because he should have already had it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck are they doing here? It's anyway.
Well, and pause on
sorry,
that thought for
go
a
ahead.
second. So again, I'm not an Arizona attorney. I haven't read the entirety of all the court rules around this, but I do have up what they're calling the record on appeal. And it's important that you realize in most situations, and I've talked about this in the videos on how appeals begin and what the whole procedure is. But in most jurisdictions, you have to file what's called a notice of appeal. And you typically have to send that to the trial court judge or the initial judge or special magistrate or whoever it was. And then you also have to file that with the court that you're appealing it to. So your circuit court or your court of appeals or whatever. And so at any rate, that notice of appeal is typically 1 or 2 pages. It's not the whole thing. It probably doesn't even say the reasons why. You have a brief that you will later file for your notice of appeal, but that's what keeps it starts it going, right? So you have to do that within X amount of days typically. Now, once you do that, that kicks off things so that the lower court knows they've got to get stuff to you. Now, sometimes you have to actually make a certain request to get a transcript or a request to get certain records, but at least they know why. And the whole process goes. Now, this rule in Arizona says that the record on appeal shall consist of, which means has to, originals.
Not may.
Right. Originals or certified copies of these items. So the notice of appeal. That's interesting. That's not. Anyway, so the notice of appeal, the docket or list of events. Again, it's not something, and you're going to, I think we're about to hear, or maybe it was already in there and I just didn't hear it, but where the judge is saying, well, you were there, when all the events are. Tough shit, because that's not what the court rule talks about. The court rule doesn't say, Direct D, can you write down on a piece of paper when all of the court hearings were? No, what they're specifically saying is, in Michigan, it's called a register of actions, but it's called the docket sheet or list of events or whatever. Different jurisdictions call it different things, where you can literally see, okay, this person filed this, then you had this hearing, then the judge moved the case, moved the trial to this date. And then we received this for filing. Sometimes they get really specific. When I got my docket sheet or register of actions in my cases for my appeals in Michigan, I was able to see that some random people were calling and asking questions about my case. Okay, that's a little creepy. But that's the kind of, it's like note keeping of what all the different things are going on in the case. And it has to be either an original or a certified copy. So it's not something that you as the party or even as an attorney that I could just draft. It has to be a freaking certified copy or an original. But again, the original is held by the court. So at any rate, you have, all the other documents, your charging documents, your disposition or judgment or sentence, the order or the ruling that is subject to the appeal. Maybe it's not the actual, the judgment or the sentence, but there's some other order that you're appealing. And then it says, unless otherwise designated by a party, the record shall also include any written motions, responses, replies. So those are all the pleadings, all the stuff that you're filing. This is interesting. It says exhibits admitted or not. Usually it's only the exhibits that were admitted. The recording or certified transcript of the trial. Again, certified transcript. So this isn't something that you could just get on your own and maybe it was on the court's YouTube page and then you had the AI do the transcription for you or whatever. No, they're saying you have to have this done in a certain way, and then some other documents, but basically any other document that's filed by the court or the court's own records, you have to have it. And so he's saying, well, you would have already had this. Yeah, Direct D could have very well had copies of all this stuff. If he was like me, I keep meticulous records of every piece of paper that comes my way on a case. That doesn't mean I can turn around and use that in the record for appeal because they have to be certified or filed copies. So anyway, just had to interject that.
And that's been my whole hang up is they're literally trying to just say that they don't have to give me anything but the transcript. That's all I've ever gotten. And I have put in motion. I've put in motions of discovery. I put in motions to compel the court. I've put in every kind of motion you can think of, citing those exact things. I want the list of events. I want everything. I want it. And they say, we've sent you everything that we were going to send you and that we have. And then we get to this point and it's still the same shit. And then they find me like, you've abandoned your appeal because we denied you an attorney and we didn't give you everything that you needed to even fucking do your appeal in the first place. That's what they did to me. And people are, why aren't you recording the cops anymore? I mean, I literally walked out of this court date and didn't go back. I didn't sign any of their paperwork. I didn't agree to be on probation. I didn't go and turn myself into the jail like they wanted to. I did fucking nothing. I walked out of this court and said, go fuck yourself. I'm not participating in the game because it's a game this time. This isn't the legal process. This is no longer a legal process. This is a fucking game that the court's playing with me personally. And people don't understand that. They think it's like, they think that like all courts work the same, or that, they can't get a personal bug up their ass and just fuck with one person. And that is so wrong. It's not even funny. There are people that the courts are fucking with that are worse than my cases, like stealing people's houses and you know what I mean, over fines or HOA bullshit. Crazy. And it happens every day, and people are super ignorant to it, and it's sad. And that's why I want a lawyer up here to explain what's happening with me and then help your audience grow. So you can, you know what I mean? You can give a perspective to people that I can't give because you're legally trained. You have litigation experience. You've been to the Supreme Court. Like, people need to hear from you on what these courts can and can't do. I mean, police interactions aside, like the most detrimental thing to our legal system right now is what's fucking happening in municipal level courts. I mean, how many, you've been in the system for a long time. You know how many lawyers and judges that have gotten out have written about the what is it called? The municipal mud. It's something like that, where like the system is so muddy and out of control that they can literally do whatever the hell they want and nobody can do anything about it.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I've been fighting so hard against the city of Ormond Beach in my own case that's happening right now, because they knew I was an attorney before they started messing with me. Now, I'm not a Florida attorney, but they knew I was an attorney and they started messing with me and they violated all kinds of rights. And I told them, stop screwing with me. I served them with a notice to cease and desist and a notice under Florida statute 70.45. And I'm like, listen, you got to follow the law. You got to follow the Constitution. You got to follow these rules of procedure. And the special magistrate didn't do it. And, the circuit court judge has been like, oh, what Constitution? I got to stay in my lane. And it's super frustrating because the thing is, if I just give up and walk away, first of all, they think they can literally come and rip up our property, our home. I mean, what option is that? That's not an option. But second of all, if I give up, what kind of example is that leaving for the rest of the community? Not that the rest of the community down here knows about me yet. I mean, some people do, but they'll definitely, I'm sure the city will find ways to make this like, oh, if they win, oh yeah, they're going to parade that all over the place. So I can't let this go because I have to show people how to fight, even at the municipal level, at the local level, every single thing that you could do, whether it's, I've reported the city. This is code violation stuff. So what did I do? A year ago, I reported the city attorney's office for several code violations that are the same exact stuff they're claiming that I'm doing. So it's the same, I put all the documents for my case on my website so that everybody could see it. But people, whether it's somebody like you that's, not an attorney, but a public figure, or whether it's somebody like me who's an attorney and experienced in fighting the government and all their bullshit, we need to keep fighting the good fight to show people this is how you do it. Now, do we always win? No, because judges don't always follow the law. And I would say more times than not, they don't follow the law. But you can't give up. You got to keep going.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I absolutely agree. And I mean, that's part of the reason that I have warrants right now is warrants freeze things in time in the legal world. So, and you can, expand on that if you want, but lawsuit timeframes, everything is frozen while I have warrants, which is in my favor because now I get to line my ducks up and set the stage in the way I want it with an understanding of how they're going to play the game. So that's exactly what I'm doing, why I have warrants and why I'm not taking care of them right now. Because right now I'm just in limbo unless they catch me, which, is they're municipal bench warrants. So the likelihood that even another county in this state wants to get involved in an extradition is very low. I mean, I've had warrants for months and months and months, and they literally have had my address and know exactly where I was, and not one person came and knocked on my door.
Right.
They don't want to get involved. They don't want me to record the police and be doing what I'm doing in court. So the fact that I have warrants and I'm not doing anything is to their liking. They like this. I mean, you know,
Right.
I'm out of their hair for now, which is what I wanted to do. Yeah. Do you have anything to say, or do you want me to play this?
Oh, go ahead.
All right.
There's what's called a docket or list of events, and
Here you
that's just where the clerk merely prints out the list of things that occurred. That's under C2. There's a documentation of record of payment. So if there's any fines, restitution, or bond that you had paid, that's simply they sent notice that you paid those. However, there was no bond in any of your cases. No fine had been paid, nor was there any restitution paid. It says that the charging document has to be sent to the court. Obviously, you and your attorney from day one always had the charging document. You knew what you were charged with. You had the complaints. You've always had those matters. Under item 5, it says disposition or judgment or sentence. Obviously, Mr. Ruff, when you were sentenced, there was that matter was recorded. There was a transcript of those proceedings. Also, you received the judgment and sentence. You were given that the day that you were sentenced, so you had that item as well. And then it says 6, the order or judgment or ruling that is the subject of the appeal. The ruling or subject of the appeal would have been your sentence that I imposed, which you had fully, and the transcript, as well as the trial transcripts. You had those items. Item 7, any written motions, responses, or replies. We've already gone through that. There were no contested pretrial motions. There were no contested pretrial issues in your case. There were none filed by you. There were none filed by your defense counsel, including your private defense attorney.
Pause.
That you had retained. Any exhibit?
Are you effing kidding me? There were no contested pretrial motions that your attorneys filed.
Like that wording?
Those were the paid attorneys, the ones that somebody else had paid.
Oh yeah.
So, okay. And the guy doesn't see why that's a problem, why maybe you had a rift and why you would have posted something about the attorneys not doing their damn jobs. They're not filing a single motion. Even when I was a brand new attorney in the state of Minnesota many, many years ago, and I was a public defender, we had like a cheat sheet, if you will, of the different things that we should do, which helped me a lot because as a brand new attorney, and I was very young, I graduated from school at a young age. I wanted to make sure I was doing right by my clients. And one of the things that we were given was also like a formatted, like these are common things that you should do. File a motion right away. And you're going to ask for this and this and this. And I'll be honest, most of the time I had no idea what was in there, but it was pre-written and I just had to change a few, the charges and the names and whatever. And that's at least something. But for an attorney, especially attorneys that are getting paid, and you say they're showing up in a Tesla and they can't figure out how to file a single motion. And this is now, correct me if I'm wrong, but among other things, one of the cases involved was trespassing on public property that was open to the general public. Is that right?
City Hall.
So, but a part of City Hall that is open to the general public, or
Yeah, it was a staircase. There was no signs that said authorized personnel, no trespassing signs. There was no security measures set up, no fence, no gate, no metal detector, no rope that needed to be unhooked. It was a set of stairs that said economic development with an arrow pointing up to it. Next to the stairs, there was a sign that said visitors need to check in at the security desk first, or customers need to check in first. There was nothing about going up the stairs, but because they reasoned in court, because the security guard told me, don't go up the stairs. He didn't say you would be trespassing. He just said, don't go up the stairs. that is trespassing, and I got found guilty of that.
Yep.
My
No,
my
there's-
lawyers actually, they litigated this part pretty good. They brought up there was no security measures.
No, they didn't. No, fuck that. No, they didn't. Because what they should have done is filed a pretrial motion to challenge subject matter jurisdiction, because there's no way in hell that you should ever be charged with, let alone found guilty of, being criminally responsible for trespassing in an area where it is open to the general public. Not only that it is owned by the public, but that it is open to the general public. This is something that has been universally, hands down, resolved by the United States Supreme Court, a ruling I actually agree with from a higher court. There's not a whole lot of those, but it is something that has been universally handed down since the 1960s repeatedly. You cannot be charged or found criminally responsible for trespassing on property that is open to the general public, even if it is not publicly owned, even if it is privately owned. If you go to a Walmart parking lot and the parking lot is owned by Walmart, but it is open to the general public, you cannot receive criminal trespass charges for being on that property. Now, there's variations of trespass that engage with like disturbing the peace or some other things, but you have to actually meet the statutory elements there. But no matter what state you're in, no matter what jurisdiction you are in, you cannot be criminally responsible for trespassing in a property that is open to the general public. And if any of you are experiencing this issue, please go to my website and look at the briefs from my own case with Allegan County. It's in the resources tab, the Allegan County Election Day case. Go to see all the resources, the cases, you name it. I have tons of stuff on this exact point. And the reason why those attorneys are dipshits and they didn't do their job and they didn't litigate it as they were supposed to, because that is something they should have been bringing up long before you got to trial, because there should have been a motion to dismiss filed long before you got in front of a jury or before the decision maker ever heard the facts of the case, because the facts are not in dispute. There you could say, even assuming the facts as they allege them are true, I still win the case because I can't be criminally responsible for this charge because it is a legal impossibility in our country. That is what the 14th Amendment, you have your right to due process and you have equal protection under the law. That is exactly the point that is guaranteed there, and why they can't find you criminally responsible for trespassing just by being present in a property that is open to the general public. So, I'm glad that you wanted to give them, credit where credit was due. Unfortunately, at this point, I have to disagree that that's where they should get credit, because they didn't do their damn job ahead of time. Maybe they argued that point during the trial, but at that point, in some respects, it's too late, because was it a jury trial or a bench trial?
Bench trial.
Okay, well, then it doesn't matter as much, because the decision maker is also the same person that decides the law of the case, so to speak. But just so that all of the rest of you are aware, when you have legal issues, when you have constitutional concerns, when you want to say, the cops violated my Fourth Amendment rights, or if you want to say, I have a Sixth Amendment issue that's arisen here, or whatever the case is, I have a First Amendment defense here, or what, any of those situations, when you have a legal issue, constitutional or legal, where they legally or constitutionally cannot pursue charges against you, you have to raise those before they get to the fact finder, because it's not an issue of fact. It's an issue of law, and all issues of law are for the judge to decide. And judges will often say, oh, no, I'll take it under advisement, and they never come back and rule on it. Or like in my case, when I was arrested, and apparently I'm lying about it, but anyway, when I was violently arrested in Allegan County, Michigan in 2020, and was denied my day in court until the first time they let me have a motion hearing was February 4th, 2021. The judge ruled from the bench that day, not that the merits of my argument were wrong. He said, even though I would be facing jail time during COVID of other things, that I didn't have a right to file a motion to dismiss. Literally, I had no legal right to file a motion to dismiss based on legal grounds whatsoever. He didn't say my legal grounds were inadequate. In fact, I had already submitted evidence that showed that at the time, the Chief Justice of the Michigan Supreme Court had authored an example in a book of dispositive motions in criminal cases in Michigan, what it looks like for a C4 and a C10 and a C8 motion, which is what mine were, a motion to dismiss. Showing specifically how they applied not just in civil cases, but in criminal cases. But he said, no, that my case being a misdemeanor, I wasn't entitled to raise any kind of legal defense. That's only available if it's a felony, because he was a jackass who didn't. Yeah, exactly. It's the most absurd stuff. And he stood by that. And then the Court of Appeals, when I did an interlocutory appeal while the case was still pending, the Court of Appeals just in a one sentence order said, well, we're not convinced we have to do anything right now. Wait a minute. Let's forget all the other things, being denied assistance of counsel, or the fact that arrest was illegal, or any of the 47 other things that they did was wrong. How about this one thing that the judge clearly is wrong by saying I have no legal right to file a motion to dismiss? That's not enough to convince you he's a moron and that maybe I shouldn't have to go to trial? So anyway, guys, make sure that you guys are filing motions to dismiss at the appropriate time, whether you have attorneys or not. Don't rely on your attorneys if you have attorneys, because some just don't know what the hell they're talking about. And those of you trash talking public defenders in the comments, are you listening? He's talking about attorneys that were paid big bucks enough to drive Teslas around. So clearly it's not just a public defender problem. No, I could say that from being on both sides, public defender and private counsel, that if you have an attorney who just doesn't know what the hell they're doing, or they just don't care to zealously advocate for their clients, well, that's where the problem lies. But you have to file motions on legal issues before the trial. And then if you need to, file an interlocutory appeal, because some of the things that they'll say, if you look at some of the good case precedent, it's not case law, judges don't make laws, but the good case precedent talks about the reason why you would file an interlocutory appeal or why you would file a motion to dismiss is because you shouldn't have to go through all the time, expense, the stress of having a trial, because it's awful. You shouldn't have to do that if you're not legally responsible in the first place. Screw the facts. If the law says you can't be tried, you can't be tried. And the judge needs to be stopped from pursuing that case. So anyway, tons of free legal advice, I guess, for the night, but important stuff that I want to point out.
You want to hear something funny? Is one of my public defenders in a Tempe, Arizona case. I told her that I wanted her to file a motion to dismiss based. Hold on a minute. I told her to file a motion to dismiss based on its subject matter jurisdiction, but that they didn't have probable cause, to arrest me. There was no probable cause to. It was a motion to dismiss based on lack of probable cause. And I even wrote it for her and sent it to her. Like, I cited the laws, I cited the judges. There's like statutes or rules that the judge has to abide by, that if he can't find any legal merit in the case, he's legally obligated to dismiss it with prejudice, or without prejudice. And I cited all this.
I would say with prejudice. That's another important point. It might sound like legalese to you guys, and it is. If you have a legal reason why your case should be dismissed, like if there's no subject matter jurisdiction, for example, ask for the case to be dismissed with prejudice, because that means they can't refile it. If a case is dismissed without prejudice, that means they can just refile it. So keep that in mind, guys.
Yeah. 6 months to a year, depending upon your jurisdiction. But yeah.
Actually, in some jurisdictions, there's no limit at all. It's just the statute of limitations. Yeah. Like in Michigan.
Yeah, in Arizona, it's 6 for misdemeanors. It's 6 months, and felonies, it's a year if it gets dismissed with prejudice, or without prejudice. But I asked her to file this motion, and she told me no, that there's no legal merit for it. And then I further expanded and said, honestly, I don't think the judge is going to accept it because he doesn't like me, and they're playing the same games as this court. But I want to set my record up for the appeal. She told me no. And I said, if you don't file this motion, I'm going to put in a bar complaint on you, because the bar rules in Arizona clearly say that the direction and whatever happens in the case is up to me, unless I'm asking you to file something that doesn't have legal merit or fraudulent or illegal. And I wasn't doing that. And she filed a motion to withdraw from my case because I threatened her with a bar complaint. And the judge let her out. It's fucking crazy. Like now, and then they denied me another attorney because I posted about that same thing as this case, this court. So it's like the two courts are talking to each other. You know, as soon as I posted about this lawyer, and what's funny is she got a bar complaint sustained and got admonished for my complaint against her, but yet I was abusing my attorney by filing a complaint and threatening her with one. So now I don't get the same thing. Denial of a Sixth Amendment motion to a right to an attorney in a different court, not this one, but that's why I have 4 warrants. I got 2 warrants out of this court and 2 out of that court. But same shit. They're playing the same game. They're talking and colluding with each other. You know, if he posts something, then you could just deny him his right to an attorney. Same shit in Tempe, same thing in Mesa, Arizona, you guys.
And that's the stuff that I would say, you know, in your case, you need to focus more on those, because so if you have a judge starting to allude to other cases or talking about some of those things, having something printed out and brought with you of, you know, where that other attorney got admonished by the Bar Association or whatever, you know, agency it is that oversees their Supreme Court or whatever it is, saying that, yes, they violated the rules of ethics or the law or whatever, and they did wrong in their representation of you. That shows that you could say, listen, Your Honor, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about, where, you know, when an attorney is representing me and I don't know the exact specifics on how to navigate some of the, you know, the nuances, but I know what the Constitution says, or I can read the cases on point, or I've read the court rules on this, and I know that the law says I have a right to this, or that the court can't do this, or the prosecutor can't do that. And all I'm asking for is zealous advocacy and full representation, and I'm being denied that. And look, this is a situation where the governing body for attorneys in this state has agreed that this attorney did not do what they were supposed to do. It's the exact same situation here. Just because I know what my rights are and the attorney doesn't want to listen to what my rights are, or they don't know how to file that motion, or they think it's going to take up too much of their golf time on a Friday afternoon, then that's not my problem. And I am allowed to turn around and tell people about that. And if they don't like the fact that I have more than 5 people following me on YouTube or Facebook when I say such a thing, then I guess that's their own problem. But you know what I mean? Instead of just giving back some of those general sassy attitude comments.
Oh no, I put believe me, in these other cases and this one, I wrote up elaborate judicial complaints. I, you know, expanded on their
but in your, I'm saying, like, when it's right there in front of the judge.
Yeah, I did.
Before, I would file, you know, motions, you know, responses to these motions. Cover your ass. That is the biggest best thing you could do is, you know, say, this is just an example of the kind of situation that I'm talking about, where I know what I'm talking about. I just need someone who knows the nuances and the procedures and policies to implement what the law clearly entitles me to. That's why I need an attorney, because I've been trying to get this record that the, you know, the court rule says that I need to have as a record on appeal. And I've been denied that repeatedly. And so I need an attorney to help navigate that. I know what my right is. I'm having a struggle with how to work with the court on getting my rights actually respected. You know what I mean? Like,
I filed 2 writs of mandamus while these appeal processes were going down to the Superior Court. I told the Superior Court, look, I laid it all out in, you know, I wrote it up just like a lawsuit. So there was an index and my complaint and everything. And I told the Superior Court that these judges are denying me my right to an attorney because I'm a citizen journalist and I'm documenting my lawyers. And I haven't done anything I'm asking the Superior Court for a lawyer. And then the judges have the city attorney representing them against me in the Superior Court on my mandamus writs. And I told you this before, but they put in their responses that I'm abusing my attorney. They cite all these case laws that when you look up the case law, it's like this guy tried to stab his lawyer, this guy punched his lawyer, this guy was trying to get his lawyer to commit fraud, this guy fired 7 or filed what was the number for the amount of lawyers that one dude filed that was fired? It was like he went through 27 lawyers before they finally said that he couldn't have an attorney, but he fired them. It wasn't like they had filed motions to withdraw. And that was the city attorney's response to the superior court. And I put in my pleadings, I want an oral argument. I want to appear in person and I want to be able to present my evidence. I want an evidentiary hearing on this as well. I asked for all this shit in my pleading or in my initial writ. Heard nothing from the court until they made a decision, and the decision was, we like what this city prosecutor is saying, and go fuck yourself. Like crazy. Like it does because I don't have a lawyer. That's really what it boils down to, is there's not somebody that's in the club telling them that they're doing something wrong. It's some convicted felon with tattoos up his neck that cusses in court. So they're going to do whatever they want. I literally have to get to a federal level before I'm going to get any play on this. I honestly believe.
Well, and here's the thing, 2 things about that. Number one is they screw me over knowing I'm an attorney. And I let's be honest, I'm not judgmental of what your appearance is, but I'm like the opposite in many respects, right? Yeah. I mean, I look like a goody 2-shoes. I don't have tattoos. I don't have piercings other than what my mom pierced on my ears when I was 4 years old. I have the epitome of, what, when I go to court and I'm wearing my suits and whatever. In fact, the last, with these court hearings down here in Florida, we've brought our kids with us because, well, where else are they going to go? We don't have family down here. But why shouldn't they go to court? Why shouldn't they see the process? And in Michigan, I would say that we brought our kids and our whole family was there, but the judge didn't let human beings in the courtroom with me. So, didn't have anybody supporting me. Yeah, it was great. Wasn't allowed an attorney, wasn't allowed my husband. My husband wasn't allowed in the courthouse, in the whole courthouse. Yeah, it was fabulous. I really like how they locked him out in, the February hearing, I think it was. They locked him out and told him he couldn't set foot in the courthouse. And I had the keys, and it was, all of 17 degrees in February in Michigan, but they just made him stand outside. Yeah. For the whole hearing. That was awesome. But at any rate, so my point is they know who I am, and they know that when I sign the pleadings, even though I'm pro se, right, in pro per, I'm filing on behalf of myself in all these cases. Yeah. I'm signing it with my Michigan attorney bar number because I also want to identify, hey, I know what I'm talking about here. So they see that, and then they screw with me anyway. And let's be honest, even in especially in 2020 and 2021 in the state of Michigan, the whole reason why the arrest happened in the first place is because they knew who I was. I mean, by the time I showed up to the scene, the deputies knew that I was showing up as an attorney to talk with them about they're trying to illegally remove the people that were circulating a petition there. And we're doing so within every single aspect of the law that they were supposed to follow. And they knew what was going on, and they knew the sheriff himself knew about it, and the chief prosecutor for the whole county knew about it. And they gave their blessing to arrest me before I even showed up, even though I was showing up as an attorney. So what kind of shit is that?
It's immunity. That's what it is.
Oh, it's awful. But they knew who I was because remember, when I said at the beginning that I was one of the few attorneys that argued against the Michigan governor's executive orders in the Michigan Supreme Court in 2020, we argued in September. I'd been filing briefs. The Supreme Court definitely knew who I was. The governor knew who I was, referenced me in some of her press releases. The AG did. So they all knew who I was. And September, we finally had an oral argument on that. And again, I was the only one of 6 arguing that day that it was unconstitutional from the beginning. And the people have rights. The government doesn't. And the government can't do this shit. And then October is when we get the ruling from the Supreme Court that oh, look at that. She violated the law. Oh, she violated the Constitution. And then we're not even a month, almost exactly 1 month later, I'm getting arrested for being an attorney. And the head prosecutor is already approving of my arrest before I'm ever setting foot on the property. Like that's sketchy. I'm in handcuffs. Here's a funny thing. I'm in handcuffs in the back of the deputy's SUV. And I'm bleeding. I have scratches and bruises and contusions. And I'm beat up at this point. And they've decided that because I was live streaming and enough people were calling in to the jail and to the sheriff's department demanding that I be released, and people are saying that they're going to show up, and some people were already starting to show up. They decided they weren't going to book me physically, that they were going to go ahead and physically release me and just issue me the paperwork. And so while they're doing that, of course, he didn't even know what statute it was. I had to tell him what statute was, a criminal trespass statute in Michigan. But anyway, so while he's got the paperwork all done and he's getting ready to release me, he said, well, the sheriff is offering, he gets him on the cell phone for whatever reason, the deputy's cell phone. And I'm handcuffed still, and I'm hard of hearing. And I'm in the back, and he opens the back door and he goes, well, yeah, he talks to the sheriff for a minute and he said, okay, yeah. Well, she's just been difficult. And she was being so abusive by her live streaming this situation. How dare she do that? I mean, she was just instigating everything because she was live streaming us. Yes, I was aggressively live streaming. Okay. Had the live button on, right? Okay. And so then he goes, oh, well, the sheriff wants to know if you want to talk to him. Now, doesn't that sound a little strange to you? In what other situation on the planet is the sheriff going to offer to talk to me as the person who was just violently arrested while I'm still in handcuffs in the back of the deputy's vehicle? That's some crazy shit. Like, yeah. Clearly something is messed up there. So at any rate,
premeditated.
The whole thing was, and then of course, once that's all done, and before he actually releases me, he says, wait, what kind of an attorney are you? This is the deputy, the one who was most violent and obnoxious to me. And I said, constitutional attorney. And he's quiet for a second and he's writing something else down. And he goes, oh, well, this isn't personal, right?
Huh?
Not personal. Oh, you were threatening to take my daughter and put her in the CPS system illegally. You were threatening to impound my car and have it towed illegally. And you were, threatening to physically take me into a jail during COVID, the height of COVID, illegally. And you've already beat the crap out of me, but it's not personal. Okay. So at any rate, my point is, just because you might look the part, you might be the part. I mean, in Michigan, I am an attorney. I was, at the time, I was living in Michigan too, but I'm still licensed in Michigan. But I was a Michigan attorney. I knew what the hell I was talking about. I could cite the statutes off the top of my head, any of them. I could quote every single word, the court rules, the Constitution, you name it. And they knew it. They all knew it. And they still found whatever ways they could to screw with me for 2 years. It took me 2 years to get that case dismissed. And that was several levels of appeals. I have $6,000 of expenses just in all the transcripts and getting copies of the court DVDs and everything for the records for appeal. $6,000. That's not paying an attorney because I was the attorney. So
yeah, I paid $2,000 just for my record, just for the transcripts. I didn't even get the full record. All those 11 points that are on there, I didn't even get all that. I just got $2,000 for transcripts, for some paper and 2 CDs.
And down here in Florida, it's been even crazier because we're in thousands of dollars that we've had to pay for this appeal process that's going right now, and we still don't have an answer yet. But we've had to come up with thousands of dollars when we've done nothing legally wrong. It's disgusting. So at any rate, that's why it's even more important. Just because you're an attorney doesn't mean they're going to do the right thing and follow the law. But when you don't look the part, when you don't sound the part, when you have those, when you go into court and then you have that persona about you, That's why I would think it's even more important to be very articulate very carefully all about the law. Keep it about the law. Check the attitude every chance you get, and just, well, Your Honor, here, what about this? Here's this bar grievance that was found, to be credible. What about this case? Here.
And see, that's the thing, is I started off respectfully. I started off wearing a nice dress shirt when I went in, Your Honor, keeping it to the law, not trying any like sovereign citizen bullshit in court or none of that. And mind you, this started in 2021. So, I mean, this recording is from 2023. So this is years of dealing with the same fucking judge and prosecutor, just playing games. I mean, they over the course of since 2021, I've been arrested over 20 times. And these are the cases where they thought that they could actually stick to me. And it's just been, it never stops. You know what I mean? That's, it's frustrating as fuck that there's no, like I've been telling people for a while that the police aren't actually the problems. It's not the police. Some people disagree with me, and I get it. But I mean, a cop's like a dumb dog at the end of a leash that's being kicked in the ass by its master and told to attack and do this and go over there and get that. Like that's all it is to me. The people that are the problem that need our focus, like on YouTube, need our focus on recording and shit, are judges and prosecutors. They are literally ruining people's lives with the swipe of their pen. Like and they don't care. There's no morality in a courtroom, none at all. I mean, they don't give a shit if they follow the rules or not. You think cops are feeling enforcers? Fuck. Go into a municipal court. That's where the feelings enforcers are at. I mean, you should have seen the look on this judge's faces every time I dropped an F-bomb in one of the videos that they were playing. He would cringe and make faces and have an obvious physical reaction to a noise that escaped my mouth. A noise that came out of my mouth bothered him so much that he, used 63 muscles in his body to fucking cringe when he made that face. Like, that was so detrimental and personal to him that I would say the F word when speaking to a police officer. But what? Like, that's why I walked out of court. That's why I have warrants. Is it gets to you. Like, there's a certain point where, unless I have a lawyer that knows what they're talking about, that there is no point for me to go to court, or else I'm just going to get fucked in the ass all the way to a jail cell.
Well, yeah. And I guess I just realized it's already 10 o'clock. Holy crap.
Yeah. You want to wrap it up here shortly? So, okay, before we do that, though, give people some insight into when you go live, when you do your call-in show, your scheduled dates, so they can, put it on their calendar, because you're way more set on a schedule when you do that. So you guys can actually, participate in our shows and get her some viewership, because, I mean, a lot of you have legal questions that I can't answer. So why not go into a lawyer's chat and fucking call her and ask her? You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And I apologize. The Google is in the background telling my kids it's time for bed. So, okay, Google, stop. Anyway, it's 10 o'clock here. So yeah, I was doing a weekly show at noon on Tuesdays, but we had some crazy stuff happen in the last year in our lives, and it was lots of stuff going on. So I also wanted to implement a way to have people actually call in, and we're playing with different ways. And we tried doing the Rumble live studio this week, and it didn't work in ways that I thought it would, and worked better in ways that I didn't think it would. But anyway, so we go live 2 times a month now. And some people can only do, like the lunchtime thing. Some people can only do in the evening. So the second Tuesday of the month, we go live at noon. The second Tuesday of the month is at noon. And the fourth Tuesday of the month is at 7 p.m. And that's all Eastern Standard Time. So Florida, Michigan, New York time. And we have a way for you to call in. And so during the show, and we go live on Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook, I'll put the phone number up there. And if there's some other way, this time we were trying the link, kind of like how StreamYard does a link here. We tried to tried to do a similar thing with the Rumble thing, but apparently you had to download the Rumble app and jump through a bunch of hoops and nobody could get it to work. So anyway, if you have any questions about that, or you're wondering what's up with that or whatever, you can check out our calendar. Anytime I know ahead of time I'm going to be speaking somewhere or doing something, like I didn't put this on there, for example, but if I know far enough ahead of time, I put it on my my public Restore Freedom calendar, and that's on the website, which is restorefreedomkh.com, because Restore Freedom by itself was already taken. Great name. But Restore Freedom, K as in Catherine, H as in Henry.com. And there's tons of resources on there. So all the stuff that we've talked about, whether it's about criminal trespass, whether it's about subject matter jurisdiction, whether it's about the Sixth Amendment right to assistance of counsel, or right to a speedy trial, or right to confront your accusers, be physically present in a courtroom. If you have judges that are still trying to pull the whole COVID, I'm scared of being in public thing, all that stuff, check on my website, because not only do I have videos about it, but I have, thousands of pages of pleadings and motions and briefs and stuff that you can copy and paste from to use for your own cases. And the more time I have and more resources, I'll be putting more and more stuff on there, because I've been fighting the government and fighting the tyranny for a very long time now. So whatever I could do to help people is my goal. And everything that I do is for free. I don't have somebody backing me financially, besides my husband, and he's not an attorney. So, we have 5 kids, 3 are still at home. But anything that you guys could do to support my mission would be greatly appreciated. I try to send out a weekly newsletter when that's working. I've spent the entire last 2 weeks fighting with the service providers on that. But, we have a weekly newsletter. We have the every 2 weeks show that we do. I do all kinds of posts on a way to get involved, freedom fighting tools, all kinds of stuff. Any way that you can think to help us would be great. You could go to restorefreedomkh.com/donate, or just click on the support Restore Freedom tab on our website. I would love to have your help. Even if it's just $2, if it's $5, if it's $200, literally anything helps, because pretty much it cost our family about $3,400, I think it was, in 2023 for all the stuff that I do to make sure the website's up and running, and the live streaming software and all that stuff. It literally cost us out of pocket about $3,400 because we didn't have enough financial support. So
I'm gonna interrupt you real quick and answer somebody's chat. Somebody says, "Why support? Don't lawyers make hundreds an hour?" And I'll answer that for her. Some do, but most don't. Lawyers are not rich. They're not all driving Teslas. I've dealt with a lot of fucking lawyers. They do not, especially people that are public defenders that are overburdened and underpaid is the terminology that they use amongst themselves. So lawyers are not rich people. I am here as, advocating for you to donate to her so she can continue to help provide the services that she does to other people that don't have money to afford an attorney. All those pleadings and things that she has that you can fill out on her website took her time and energy to fill out, all the time that she spends going live. Help a lawyer out. Well, you know what I'm saying? Help her, help you, or help somebody else. Don't spend your last $20, but there are people that are watching that are financially stable enough to fucking donate. So do it.
And if I was doing private practice, I would be making hundreds an hour. But that's what I'm telling you guys. I haven't, since 2020, I haven't taken private clients, because I am trying to do the most I can to help the most people. Once I saw all the shit that was coming down in 2020, I've had thousands of people ask. There's even people in this chat that were asking if I could represent them on stuff. There's people that I already know that have showed up in this chat that have already asked me in prior conversations if I can represent them. I don't have the bandwidth for that, because I want to make sure I'm helping as many people as I can. If I'm taking on one case at a time, then it's, one case at a time, or maybe 2 or 3 or whatever. But the way cases work, that's not going to leave me any time to educate people. So What I'm trying to do is, I have filed dozens of amicus briefs on freedom fighting issues. I've argued in the Supreme Court. I've, done the videos. At one point, we had a Constitution app on the Google Play and Apple app stores. I have all those briefs and things on my website. I mean, I want to bring the Constitution and the law to you. So if you're wondering, why would you need to donate to an attorney who could be making hundreds of dollars an hour? Because if I'm out there making hundreds of dollars an hour, then I'm not able to help you. It's one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're making that kind of money, you have so many cases going on that you are dreaming about them. I mean, I've talked to a lot of lawyers, so I know. I've asked them about their cases. I ask about the public defender versus private, the contracting with the state and what that means for like a firm or a private individual attorney. And yeah, it's not what everybody thinks. Just like, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what to compare it to, but lawyers aren't rich. Not all of them are, at least. And that's another reason why a lot of lawyers will not take a civil case unless there was serious damage done to you in most of the cases, because civil cases cost the most to fucking litigate in court and are the most drawn out usually. I mean, to get into a circuit court or even the Supreme Court costs a lot of fucking money. Depositions cost a lot of money. All the discovery shit costs a lot of money. Everything costs money. I mean, unless you're going to file as a poor man and do it all on your own, which then you're not going to get the same play that you would as a lawyer. So, I mean, it's
Right.
very convoluted and complex for a reason, because they don't want you to win.
Right. Well, and I just want to say too that if I was trying to do my best of checking out the chat and staying on top of questions, or, there's been a lot of questions on legal issues and different things that we were talking about. And I'm like an hour behind on the chat. I just realized. So apparently even my husband must have commented at some point, and I didn't even see it, but I saw Lori laughing at him. So I don't know. Anyway, so if any of you did ask a question about the videos that he was playing today, and or some follow-up to that, and I didn't answer that, I'm not trying to ignore you. By all means, if you still have that question, the second Tuesday of the month at noon, then please call into the show that I'll have on my channel. Or I guess I should ask you this, Direct D, were you thinking that we would do this a few times at least to give people topics to hear about?
Yeah, I'm definitely game to do this on a weekly schedule or bi-weekly, whatever you're comfortable with. We can set up a scheduled day that'll be your day, and we can review people in the chat's content, something that you might want to review that you think is important for people to know. We can review my content. I don't care. Yeah, I think it's great to have a lawyer up here and get a perspective from somebody that's actually been trained in the field, as opposed to listening to me ramble on about things that I've read, but there's nothing backing it up. Even though I like to think that I'm generally right. I'm wrong about some things, and I'll admit that. But the law is not hard to understand or interpret. It's really not. It takes a little bit of reading, and then having the experience in court that I do has helped a lot. But it doesn't mean anything unless it's coming from an actual lawyer. So that's my dig, and I'm definitely down to have you up more often, because I think people, they need to hear from. There's very few lawyer. I mean, there are a lot of lawyer channels, but there's very few lawyer channels delving into this specific genre of the legal system, like the problems in court, different things that you could do to combat criminal cases, civil remedies, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely be interested in coming back regularly. We'll just have to look at, just so I'm not hangry or falling asleep during the times that we be on. We'll have to figure out a good way to do that. But yeah, and by all means, if you guys have stuff, if there's I don't know, we find a good rhythm of things that you guys have questions on, real situations, and you have short videos or whatever, by all means let us know, and we can cover that stuff, because none of us can help. None of us can fix, like, you can't look to an attorney and expect that an attorney is going to solve all your problems, even if you have a really great attorney. Because let's be honest, I have the world's best attorney, but not one attorney. Oh, come on, director. You're not even going to laugh at that. That was funny.
What?
You're in
What?
your own world. I said I have the world's best attorney.
Oh, yeah, I know.
but
yeah, even an attorney hires an attorney. That's what I've heard over and over and over. You don't you shouldn't litigate your own cases.
Oh yeah, well, I do. I hired an attorney once when we moved down to Florida, and we got into some crazy stuff in buying a house. You wouldn't even believe it. It was a nightmare. And we hired an attorney, and among all other crazy things, no joke, this guy seemed like a rock star. He was stellar. He seemed really smart, understood the law and the Constitution. And he was working with me on the pleadings. And we were right before this big hearing, and he was a scuba diver. And my husband heard on the news that there was an attorney, a local attorney, who had gone missing. And no joke, he was found a few days later, like 45 minutes away from here, that he had died in this freak scuba diving accident. And then the court didn't allow me any time to hire another attorney. So I had to stay up for like 4 days straight reading every single court rule in Florida and all the state statutes that would apply, and put together a bunch of pleadings because the court, and the judge was so distraught that she didn't show up for the court hearing. She had a fill-in judge come because it was that fresh and that new, but I wasn't allowed time to hire another attorney. So I won't waste my time with Florida attorneys anymore or any attorney anymore. But anyway, so so it's important that even if you guys have an attorney, I guess my point is that you still know what your rights are, and that we all got to work together. We have to support each other. You have to support, if you could support financially, great. If you could support by just joining the chats and, commenting on social media and telling your friends and neighbors and coworkers about, like for me, I have a website. Tell everybody about the website. Tell everybody to go over to my YouTube channel or Rumble or Facebook. Tell them to hit the like button on my post. Tell them to share stuff. It's a free way that people can help and spread the word. And then I'm doing what I'm being called to do. God's calling me to help people and teach people about the Constitution and the law and the way the government's supposed to be. So help me in that mission. But, you can't look to someone like me or any other single attorney somewhere, or even a big firm somewhere, and expect that, they're the godsend. That's going to be it. They're going to be able to fix this, or they're going to be able to fix that. Or there's this one big case that's in the U.S. Supreme Court, and this is going to be the end all. No, look at what all the stupid stuff they were doing with abortion and the Second Amendment, everything else. They had a case teed up on a silver platter. What'd they do? They gave us a little tiny win, and then screwed around with the rest of it and said, well, the rest of your rights, we'll see you in the next 70 years of jurisprudence. We might, restore those. Screw that.
Right.
Anyway.
It's like basically what she's saying is, it's like the person that goes to a mechanic shop and says there's something wrong with my car, but has no idea what the hell, how a car even functions. I mean, for a dishonest mechanic, that's a open book to charge you whatever you want. So, I mean, and the same thing will apply to lawyers. If you don't know what's happening in your case, they could do whatever they want, and you might be inadvertently fucking yourself by not knowing what the hell's going on.
Yep.
So it's important, even if you have a lawyer, to understand what's happening, because the moment your lawyer does something that you have learned is not good, or that they should be doing and they're not doing, you can implement that or bring it to their attention. If you don't know, then you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yep. We just got to figure out ways that we can help you do that and not have your attorneys constantly trying to bail on your cases.
Right. Yeah, I'm working on the attorney thing. I mean, my boys are still a little young, so I'm not really apt to get back into the game yet. But that's another element to why I don't record the police. And people have asked. It's been a common comment in my videos and shit. Why don't you record the police? And having warrants and stuff is one element of that. But I live off grid, out in the middle of nowhere. Like, I'm not connected to city water, power, none of that shit. All this that you're looking at is powered by the sun. I've got 2 young kids, so I don't really have time to be dicking around in courts like I was before, especially not when I'm dealing with this kind of shit that you just saw. Like that's how the court, they don't treat me like I'm a human being or that I know what I'm talking about. I'm just some convicted ex-felon that's never done anything, even though I own businesses, I've owned successful businesses, I'm a dad. Like none of that shit matters, just my past. And we're going to treat you just like that.
Right. Yeah. It's not about treating people like they're human beings that, are created by God and got their rights from God and don't get the rights from the government. But, hey, if the government thinks the government gives out the rights, then they think they can take them away. And that's where we have to educate them. So.
Yep, I totally agree. But yeah, you want to wrap it up? Definitely hit the thumbs up, you guys. If you haven't gone over to Katherine's channel and subscribed, fucking do it right the fuck now and stop bullshitting around. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. 500 people in here, I'm telling you to go subscribe. She already went up 200 subscribers since we've been live. Let's get another 500 on there. Well, it's easy to go over and click a button and subscribe. Just do it. Just do it because I told you to. How about that? No, I'm just kidding. I like being an asshole because
I was the good cop. He was the bad cop. So that works.
Yeah. They don't expect it. Most people watch YouTube channels and the creators like, I will do whatever you want. I will create videos how you want. And that's not how this shit works. This is an educational channel. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to educate you.
Right.
But
Same goes for mine. So.
Yeah, subscribe. We'll get something on the schedule with Katherine, and then I will post about it. And if you find it interesting and you would like to join the conversation and educate yourself instead of just being, entertained, then I would suggest that you do that. But other than that, folks, you guys have a good night. You want to add anything before we peace out?
Just remember restorefreedomkh.com. You can donate. You can find our social media stuff, all of our resources, restorefreedomkh.com. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you guys. Until the next one, have a good night.